Welcome to the channel. You know what channel this is. Today we're going to be discussing armed revolution. The Second American Revolution. Armed revolt, I meant to say. The uprising of the people against the empire that has been oppressing not only its people here at home, but peoples abroad, all over the world, because that's just what empires do. It is the intrinsic operation of an empire is to dominate, which is not, if you think about it, if you look at history closely, the intended purpose of the United States of America and the colonization of this area. It was not to create and be an empire. It was created to be a haven, a safe haven, a sanctuary, so to speak, of freedom and liberty and safety, and just away from all this bullshit that the world is always spewing out at everybody. So when you're just tired, you can't do this, you're not allowed to do that, and you can't worship this, and you can't. That was the thing, man. Let's just go to America, because it's like we're tired of being controlled. Yet what has happened now? The American government went from serving the people humbly at first to becoming the next empire that the British had, the Great Britain's empire. So we tried and lost so many lives and souls, and people give up their lives and spilled their blood to free themselves from that oppression. And now here we are again, doing the same thing. Being no taxation without representation, infringing on the rights of human beings to bear weapons or arms, trying to confiscate weapons. Like, we're not, obviously, where no one's been, I haven't heard of until this moment, that anybody is confiscating anything, per se. But it's clear, and it's obviously evident that there's a lot of work and a lot of effort to be done to infringe on the right, basically, to keep and bear arms and to own weapons and, be a free, sovereign human being. But we see, they're making it difficult for you to own arms. They say you can't own this, you gotta pay this and that, you gotta pay, you pass this and that, it's infringing, you're infringing. You don't have to say, infringing isn't only just, you're not allowed to take it, but it's also, okay, if you want it, I'm gonna make you jump through hoops, and pay out the ass and until you're homeless, just so you can. That's infringing. That's you're not allowing that person. You're making it more difficult. And yeah, you can say it's more difficult for criminals to get weapons. And that's such a stupid little argument. Like, criminals can get weapons through breaking into a pawn shop and robbing people and importing them from other places, or getting them other places and importing them there, which is a popular and very large, lucrative line of work. In my youth, I was associated with criminals, I suppose, not by choice, but by association of family, extended family. During family reunions, you have to hear, oh, you're what? You're in that, and you're doing what? And you're like, okay. Hey, you want to go help me? Me and my gang are going to break into that pawn shop and take all the weapons. Very early. I was really young when I heard that. And I was like, oh no, I'm okay. You go ahead and do that. I'm gonna hang out at the family home and, eat dinner and leave rowdy ass hooligan gang member. You know what I mean? I don't remember any. Growing up through my entire youth, I've been exposed to several different types of people. Some successful, some quite the opposite, or successful in a more deviant way, i.e. criminality or crime. And I've never heard once anyone, or the criminal side, or the people who are willing to break the law, ever procure a firearm via legal means. That's never been a thing. Nobody does that. No criminal does that. And I'm not saying I'm a criminal because I'm just saying I was a sponge growing up. I observed everybody. I watched and listened to everybody. I kept my own distance and did my own thing, but I was very curious. So yeah, that's bullshit. It's gonna stop criminals are getting guns regardless. They're doing it right now, and nobody even has an ID, and it's not even needed. Where there's a will, there's a way, and that's a very important metaphor or whatever, It's a very important phrase that we're gonna also touch up upon. So, yes, we are being infringed on our rights. Someone thought it would be entertaining or whatever to call the police and tell them and give them my address that I was suicidal and I was going to kill myself while I'm remodeling the bathroom of the new home I just moved into. And I get bang, bang, bang. I'm like, what's going on out here? And I'm shirtless, I'm just home. I'm just wearing shorts and flip-flops, and cops are like, what's going on here? I'm like, nothing. We got a call that you're suicidal. And I was like, what? Who are you? I don't even live with anybody. Like, you were gonna kill yourself, and we need to just get some questions. And then they just put me in the back of the car, and I try to clear things up. Where are we going? I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to jail for like what? And I left like the radio on and everything still running in the house. And where do they take me? To a mental hospital for the 72-hour hold. And then I have to stay in there for 72 hours. I keep talking to the people and be like, excuse me, I had this is a misunderstanding. I don't understand why I'm here. Like, I try to explain it to them. I think someone was just trying to... And I think I know who did it, and they were doing it out of spite for other reasons, which I won't go into. But, yeah, I had to wait 72 hours. It's the most annoying and frustrating 3 days. It was only 3 days. Actually, I think it was a little longer, but I don't know. It was just ridiculous. Anyways, after that, I was talking, and apparently now I can't own a weapon for the next 10 years, I think, or 15 years. Basically my right is infringed now. I didn't do anything. I've broken no law or crime throughout my entire life. And now I'm stripped away of my most basic human right to possess a formidable weapon to protect and preserve my own existence. Now I have to carry a wrench in the backseat of my car, okay, that'll do when I'm driving through the most ghetto area and I have to run errands and it's late and someone pulls up and tries to kill me with a knife, or I don't know. I'm just getting off topic. That's an example of my right being infringed, and I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure there are other people who, good, decent people being oppressed. They're basically being oppressed from not even exercising, but just, I guess exercising is a good word. They're right. They're God-given or natural born, and I personally call it the human right, because it is a human right to possess weapons and a means to defend one's own life. and their family and their property and the lives of others, and just to propagate safety in general. I should, if I had formidable firepower, I would protect my, as long as the eye can see. It doesn't matter who it is or what's going on. Someone's life is in danger, and I'll have to take the shot and put down a mugger who's like trying to kill somebody or rob or rape someone in the distance. Like, it is a duty as human beings that we watch out for each other. So I would go to great lengths to ensure your survival, and I would hope that you would do the same for not only myself, but everyone else around you. But I digress. So, infringement. Thank you very much, the U.S. Empire. I hold nothing against the people of this land and this region. I love like I said, I love and respect every single one of them, even if I haven't met them and if I never will, but because they're human beings in my vicinity, I also love and respect everybody else on this. It's every human on this planet, and if there are other human beings on another planet, or elsewhere beyond our planet, and it's just, I suppose it's a normal thing. I respect animals and everything else. Like, life should just be respected. But where was I going with that? Oh, shoot. Anyways. Oop, butterfly. Almost landed on my nose. So the Imperial, I don't hold anything wrong. I don't hold any animosity towards the soil. I don't want to burn the soil and destroy this land because I don't like it. I don't hold animosity towards the people of the inhabitants of this land, but I hold animosity towards a gang, a certain organization that has totally stepped it out of line and out of bounds recently in the last few decades. That is the Empire. That is the United States Empire. It's not even a government anymore. Government was what we had in the first place, what we began with. A nice set of organization just to keep things in check, I suppose. But with the evolution of our society and business practice and personal endeavors, be them by politicians or people who just are employees but want to have some sense of authority, or like an officer of the law, quote unquote, or any other person who has some strange complexity or mental or psychological complex to have power over another human being. Now, don't get me wrong. Someone once said, you should have a plan to kill everyone you know, which is very true. If you meet me, you should have a plan to execute me if I am ever a threat to you. You should, you know what I mean? You should know my location. You should have everything if I was ever to be a evil person who just wanted to kill everybody or something. But it's a very, very valid point. I think it was a military general or something that said that, which is a philosophy that I've always lived by since my youth. Like, have a plan to take care of everyone, but have it in the back burner, but don't let it interfere in your life at all. And then if something were ever to happen, you break the glass and use that plan, read that plan, and decide if you need to execute it or not. That's just personal philosophy. But I'm talking about these people who That is not a power over anyone. That is a power over someone, I suppose, but I don't know. I don't know if it is really a power over someone, because you're not actively using this on a person. Say if you were to use that philosophy on me, and you were my friend, how's it a power over me because you are interacting with me, or I am interacting with you? As if nothing, that planning strategy is in the back burner. It's dormant or idle, and it is not of any relevance until the moment that it is needed. It's not like holding a strap, putting a bomber on my waist, and waving the trigger button at me and saying, "Hey, you're gonna drive me to Starbucks and get me a drink." And I'm like, I disagree with your statement. And you wave the thing in my face. Oh shit, okay, I'll do it. That's power over someone. But what I'm saying is officials and people who have this complex to actively want to have a power or leverage over other people are those who I also hold animosity towards. I'm sure you can denote this as authoritarian, anti-authority complex of my own, or something, but I find it very normal and natural, I suppose, as any villager would have in the past, throughout our history, to those barbarians who threatened to destroy their village in entirety if one did not comply with, threat and intimidation, basically the same thing. I don't like that, not only for myself, but for those around me. I don't like that because I don't deserve it, but those around me don't deserve it. Everyone else, all of you don't deserve that. You deserve to be in peace, living free. But, yes, I don't like that. So, there seems to be a controversy around the notion of an armed revolt, or revolt in general, or revolution, or any critical action taken by the people against the government or empire, in which, like I've mentioned before, is overstepped its bounds, is beyond its own. It's way past due now that needs to be abolished. Because I would have never said this about this government 100 years ago, or when things were when human beings were actually treated as human beings and not subjects of a king, basically. I would have not had a problem. I would have been able to talk to someone, or I wouldn't have been living in some super dystopian high-tech future where human beings are treated lower than livestock as we are today. And I say controversy, quote unquote, because I don't see anything controversial about this. I think the notion of armed revolution or armed revolt is being associated with the fear of war and death and battle, throughout. And what do you think when you think of the U.S. empire? The military, you just think, this is what a lot of people probably think. Some crazy people, militia, men and women, are going to deck themselves out in BDUs and try to emulate the military to gain some sort of legitimacy as a combative unit. When I say, why do you have to try to... What you are a combative unit, you don't have to copy anybody. Trying to act all... That's a personal thing I also don't like, is the glorification of the U.S. Empire's military. It's like, well, it's not that cool. It's actually really, really flawed, strategically and combatively, and just fucking stupid. Like, it's... As a person familiar with a lot of that, because I came from a highly military family, I turned it down. I was like, no, I don't want to. I thought about it, like, what am I fighting for? I don't want to be following anyone's orders. I'd love to fight and get shot at and all that good stuff, but I want to do it on my own accord. It'd have to be of my own accord. I'm not gonna. I would have went if I really believed there was a threat in the Middle East or something. I would have gotten myself a ticket by myself and prepared myself, gotten my own intelligence and etc. and assassinated Osama bin Laden myself. That's the kind of attitude that people should have. Like, I'm just one person, but imagine if a lot of us, were trying to do that. Individuals just like tiny little ants flying under the radar, but yet carrying such a payload of destruction in their own personal way of just sabotage and cunningness and just no rules of engagement for us. But that's going besides the point. The militiamen, I jump off point a lot. You'll have to forgive me. I expect in the future it should be less difficult. I'd be more focused from a injury or trauma that I sustained in the last few years, which I'm hoping I can make a full recovery. I'm still in the middle phase, kind of phased out, and kind of shaken up a bit. But that's something else. So yeah, what I was trying to get at was you're gonna expect militias crawling out of the bushes in wannabe military and industrial complex gear, and then what are they gonna do? Like, storm the White House or something? Obviously, they're just going to be wiped easily. You try to be all, Greek or Roman phalanx and a drone, which I don't even think they would consider doing because of the collateral damage to their own property. They would just bring SWAT, a couple trucks, and just have a shootout. Because they couldn't. I can't. Anyone who's observed the Empire by now understands its collective psychology. They wouldn't get a drone to just drop one on let's say a phalanx militia approaching the White House, being an obvious threat, saying, I'm going to kill you all, including the POTUS, the crown holder. So, yeah, it would be effective to drone and blah blah blah, but that's so damaging, like, to the infrastructure in general, the environment, the grounds would have to be everything, which is, it's like, Jesus. But that's pandering to the fantasy that a lot of people hold about a people revolting, when in reality, in my observational opinion, I would say that it would just be, again, SWAT teams and SWAT trucks, several of them, opening fire. They would actually have the tanks, those mobile vehicles that are like bulletproof, and they have little holes where you can shoot out of, and they wouldn't get wiped out, but they'd seriously disadvantaged. The militia would be. So here's why I think the U.S. Empire needs to come down. For one, we can say that, yes, is an empire, and empires are intrinsically bad and evil for their people. Their people are subjects. They are not citizens. They are not citizens. They are not people. They are subjects. They are lower than those in the empire, holding positions in the empire. So that's bad. Empires are also intrinsically dominating and oppressive and expanding. So the empire is oppressing and abusing and harassing and peoples all around the world. One example would be the Middle East right now, and has been for the last 4 or 5 decades. 4 decades, I think. So I think that would be the most poignant points that I have of those two. Empires are just oppressive, and they're just intrinsically bad. They're very beneficial for those who are running it and controlling it and holding a high place in it. So it's actually great for a few people, a few hundred, but for the entire population, it is a nightmare. It's hell, and that's just not fair, and that's not right. It shouldn't be. And I'm surprised in this age, 2014, that we still have these, with all the enlightenment that we've obtained scientifically and philosophically, technologically, that we're still living like the Caesars did with these empires. You know, I'd have expected the human condition to be more enlightened at this point, or by this point. And I kind of think it is. I think it actually is ready to live a more logically sound existence, rather than the oppressive, all these helicopters just, I mean, I'm sure it's just a news copter or whatever, but I imagine they're just like black choppers just in a totalitarian region, just, you know. But I'm just going off again, entertaining myself. And the issue that seems to be at hand is, you can't revolt, you can't. An armed revolution, that's ridiculous. That's insane, that's extreme. Of course it's extreme. Sometimes you need to do extreme things to get extreme things done, you know? Sometimes extreme measures are required to get things done when everything else has failed. And the political process is flawed, to say the least. So flawed and so full of holes, and just, you know, you can't count on it to actually do what it's claiming it will actually do. If you request an analogy I sometimes use, if one requests something to be done about the controlled region, say a pothole in the street or something, you make a message, you say blah blah blah. Let's say it's a note, you write a note, and you gotta get it to the person in charge. What do you do? And I'm saying this as an analogy for the people, and what the president or the person who supposedly is in charge of the empire requesting the president of the empire to do something or change something. So what are you doing? You're writing a letter, and you're sending it into one of those messaging tubes. And it just goes, just flies through all the tubes. And the tube is actually like thousands, hundreds of thousands and it has to make all these transitions, and so complex and so like obscenely large and just inefficient, that the chance of that message getting to the place where it is intended to go to get the message read by the said party is extremely minimal. It's like you're putting you're writing a message in a bottle, and you're writing a message on toilet paper, flushing it down the toilet, and expecting it to reach some Chinese fisherman in like the Shaolang Bay. Exactly, like in perfect. Yeah. That's not going to happen. The chances of that happening is just, that's not, don't count on it. So, and if miraculously you do somehow manage to get that message to the said party or designated party, then there's another large gap and large chance that that person's not going to comply with whatever your request is, even if it's a sound one, a logically sound request. What if they decide it's against, it will, these people that we're having to go through just to get things done have their own lives, they have their own agendas, and I'm not saying agendas, diabolical mastermind, but I mean like political agendas and business and economic, financial agenda, like social agendas, keeping their status, maintaining the status or image of certain. So there's another large chance that they won't even agree with you and saying, what the fuck, I can't do what these people say because it'll interfere with my image of this and that, and it's keeping in the, it's raking in the dollars, so I can't do that. And then, okay, another leap of faith, let's say theoretically, that person does get your message and agrees with you, the said party, say for example, the United States of America, and then wants to execute this request by the people. Then he has to actually gather the appropriate parties to execute the request. And again, say you need 10 appropriate or 32 appropriate members or party people, 32 parties to get the request executed. That's another long shot, because each single one of those people, again, like the POTUS, the President of the United States, has their own agenda, has their own objective, means. If they don't agree with something, they could just say nope, or disregard it. So it's leap after leap after leap after leap of faith. It's ridiculous. It's so inefficient. This is why you see the world around us, the empire that we live in now, the United States, is a manifestation of the most mundane requests of man in the most general view. If our word was of any value, it would be a very different world we would live in, a very different controlled region we would be living in. Down to the telephone poles, maybe we would require them to all be underground, or it would be very different. So the empire, or the land that we live in, is a very mundanely manifested one that was only manifested by the powers of the empire, or the powers that be, that decided, okay, it's acceptable to do, let this and this and this, let the people have this and this. What do you mean, let the people? That's the problem. Let the people. It's we the people. We are the people who control this land. Whether you know it or not, we are the masters of this domain, because we dominate in numbers. We outnumber those who perceive they have authority over the conduct of this region over 100-fold, I think. So, and apparently it's claimed, again, I'm discussing an armed revolution, an armed rebellion. This is why this hasn't worked. This is why we've been trying for decades to get things done, and the slightest things happen. Barely anything is ever done. It's just, you ask for, you have a vision of this, the people have a vision of this, and it's a large thing, but only 1% of that vision is actually manifested and taken seriously. You only get 1% of that vision that you requested, when the entire 100% of that vision would mean for a very different world. Or, it's just the will of the people. But of course, because we're holding middlemen and what do they? They don't say, no, I'll just give you a tiny portion of what you wanted. I know you want this and that, but we'll just give you, one little thing. And that's the problem. We've been trying to... We've been playing by this corrupt system and this, flawed system. We've been playing its little game for a very long time. And you have to remember, we are people before anything else. We are people before we are voters. We are people before we are politically affiliated with anything. We are people, primal beings who have wants and needs. And that should be of the utmost priority, our wants and needs, and especially needs. Of course, wants, but needs. And needs, for one, in my opinion, is this taxation. It's ridiculous. How is one supposed to make a living like this? That's one. Needs, for another, is how is a person like me or a person like you, a reasonable, good person with a good heart, and can't even obtain equipment to preserve one's own life, i.e., firearm, a pistol or a shotgun. For example, there are several other variants of these devices that shoot projectiles at high velocities. But these are needs, in my opinion. But now the needs are being ignored. They have been ignored. They're like we are treated like children to the neglectful parent. Mother, my leg hurts, or I busted my leg. What? I'm sure here's a Band-Aid. When it's a compound fracture, that's, it's ridiculous. So yes, I'm not a political affiliation of anything, a Republican or liberal or Democrat. I don't know what the fuck any of that means. I'm just a human being who doesn't really associate with anything in life, really. No NRA or none of that. I'm just a human being who wants to be left alone and carry out my human existence in my own little humble way, having my own family and such. I'm not looking to change anyone's mind or anything. So, and I say, give me back my freedom. Why am I giving up so much of my hard-earned work, struggling so much to put food on the table when I do everything I can for everything? Again, that's just a rant on taxing, but yes, I think, again, armed revolution is necessary. And as Thomas Jefferson, our third president, one of my favorites since a young man myself, he put it, God forbid we go 20 years without another one of these rebellions. And he was talking about, or referring to, the fight for independence, where we rebelled with arms and extreme prejudice to the empire that was oppressing us at the time. Or, And he's right, absolutely right. Every 20 years, if we did have a armed rebellion, or so to speak, show of power and show of sovereignty of these people, of all of us as people, as human beings on this soil, every 20 years, and took up arms and, put that poker face on and say, we are the holders of this land. You are just one of us. And we outnumber you by a lot. I don't care how fancy you got communication and people with body armor, we have that too. We can do anything that you can do. Probably better. What was that song? If you can do it, I can do anything that you can do, but better? I don't know. So, there's an incredible amount of power and authority you, as an individual human being, humbly yourself possess. You don't have to do anything, but it's there as a being. A human being is a creature to be reckoned with. Not collectively, I'm saying even down to the individual. Very cunning, very, So, apparently it's so controversial. You can't do that, you can't. And, of course, the media itself is a mere portion, is a manifestation of a tiny demographic, and I'm not tiny, but a small demographic of just living in la la land, of just idiots, not really intellectually stupid or naive, but just people who refuse to live in reality and see the glass not as half empty or half full, but 50% capacity, as things for what they really are, and remaining in reality, and looking at things objectively. So, of course, that's what the mainstream media is. It panders us with pop music and Justin Bieber and Miley Cyrus and touching and heartwarming news stories of silly little things, which I'm not disregarding the nice things of humanity. Of course, they're all nice. It's great. You could see it's just pandering and just like trying to please that demographic of just out of touch with reality people. So naturally, the idea of an armed revolution, like what? It's just inconceivable. I'm sure they can't even perceive history beyond what they live in now. The Salem witch trials, I can't believe that's impossible. It happened. Imagine it. Like, use your imagination. We were born with it, so. But outside of their little bubble, everything is just outrageous. Think of the children, No. I suppose that's it for this one.